So you just
Right.
got off a call with Jake Paul's team?
Yeah, I'm acting as a sponsorships agent for them for his upcoming fight with Anthony Joshua. His Netflix hosted upcoming fight with Anthony Joshua. I think they did a his team just tested me the stats on this and they did 125 million views with Mike Tyson.
All right, guys, welcome. We have Tom Circo on the call here, based in Canada. Give us a little intro about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Tom. I'll do a little non-formal version. So we actually connected through a group of HNIs and like kind of just business dealers of all sorts. I'm not sure if you've talked about it on here or not before. I think I've seen a clip maybe one time, but the order's been mentioned. So long story short, for me, I run Matchbook. We are an influencer marketing agency slash partner. I only say slash partner because a lot of brands prefer to use us as like an executional arm within their businesses. To say that we don't specialize in the strategy and campaigns, but we specialize in the sourcing, the contracting, negotiations, project management, and payouts on behalf of our clients. So we are a one contract agency. Started that almost 3 years ago now, scaled it up to multi seven figures with my then business partner who has now exited to go take a full-time role with Perplexity, actually, which is one of the clients. Notably, we did a Super Bowl campaign with them this year, so that was kind of a big highlight for us. Or not kind of, that was a big fucking highlight for us. And so, yeah, my I guess client background is Jack Links, Beef Jerky, ManyChat, Liquid Death via him, Mike, the business partner, ClickUp, Kalshi, Perplexity, just like a bunch of other brands, but those are just some highlights. And we've done everything from long-term partnerships where, I've been Jack Link's agency of record for 2 years now. I built their entire evergreen program as well as campaign moments, helping put together programs like the Mr. Beast partnership that just happened with the Beast Sticks, all the way to doing one-off campaigns with companies like ClickUp when they had new, updates dropping via their platform, etc. So yeah, all things influencer marketing. That's the short story long, long story short. I'm not sure, but yeah, now to yap even more, which is going to be a lot of this fucking call. I've now pivoted after doing 600 creator partnerships just this last year and paying out just a bit over 1.5 million USD to content creators. I now have started to coach content creators as well as businesses, funny enough, on how to get brand partnerships and sponsorships, noting that the big way that I built this agency was on long-term partnerships with creators, and that's part of the reason why I've been retained as long as I have with certain clients. But that's something that's new that we briefly talked about, but I'm just putting it there. I've started a program, so we can talk about that more. But yeah, that's me, man.
That's great. How did you get connected with Jake Paul and Mr. Beast teams? I imagine it through referrals, probably.
Yeah, yeah. I'm lucky enough and fortunate enough that I've done good work and stay true to my word and that people have, a good understanding of who I am. And so the Jake Paul thing actually happened quite randomly. My head of marketing connected with someone who was already partnered with someone else that had helped Jake's team get the Von Dutch sponsorship that they're doing for all of his merch. And they were looking to do a partnership with Perplexity, and knowing that I already had it in there, plus my previous business partner and then co-founder has now he's their influencer lead at Perplexity. I of course pitched him over there and started that conversation, and so just even starting that conversation got me in the room with their team, and that was candidly, I have really not liked having multiple points of contact between myself and the principal. It's usually been principal to principal. Like typically I'll have a call with like the Jake Paul of the situation. This went through like a layered, there's like 6 different people to get into that room, and I was kind of taking some calls and not taking some, but
Yeah.
ended up getting in with his direct team, and they gave me an opportunity. Or so, we by the time, I'm not sure when this podcast is gonna drop, but we'll probably still be taking on sponsorships for stuff like the patches on his boxing trunks and his robe walkout and content stuff around it as well. So
Okay.
that's how I got connected with them. And then with the Mr. B stuff, funny enough that I have like 7 different ways through it. When you're in this content space, like you start to build relationships, and I have connections that have been editors for him all the way up to like helping him with video content. The Jack Link's X Mr. B stuff was definitely through Jack Link's just because they're my client. That was just a situation where they let me know that they were going to be doing that partnership and they needed someone to help assist with these things and really bring it together. I just help where I can with them by bringing on other influencer content that can play off of the product, etc., and then formulate kind of the overall campaign. So that was very much both getting walked into the room
Yeah.
different than how I got in the room with a lot of my other clients, especially early on.
Okay. Yeah, and remind me, like, how are you getting your other clients? Most of your clients are coming through inbound leads or outbound?
No, you know what? So we started this. This is a hilarious answer because a lot of people either believe in this or they don't. I built this entire company agency from cold outbound on LinkedIn. And it literally consisted of back in June of 2023, I sat down at my computer and I sent 40, 50 custom messages a day to
Yeah.
brands on LinkedIn, on email, added them, I commented, and I got nothing. I got nothing until November of 2023. And then my first 3 clients were literally Jack Links, ClickUp, and ManyChat. And
Mm,
that was in December, like late November, early December of 2023. So if anyone listening is familiar with like corporate shit, that's fucking insane because no one's trying to do business in December. You know, it's usually a typical, hey, let's pick this up in Q1 of next year, right?
mm.
But we signed them and started the contracts right there and then. After thousands of messages sent, finally something clicked. I looked at the copy, I saw what was working, and I just rinsed and repeated.
Why is it difficult to sign business clients in Q4? Are they just busy?
Depending on what the company, the product is, a lot of the time their budget's spent. So especially for
Very good.
influencer marketing stuff, unless it's like Black Friday, Cyber Monday stuff, which they've already kind of been planning if they're smart since like really summer, and then obviously like like early Q3 coming into it, a lot of time their budgets are just spent for the year. And the
Okay,
people are
yeah.
going out of office, people are going on holiday, they're cashing in those lovely 2 weeks of paid time off and all that kind of stuff. So you get a lot of messages saying, hey, listen, this is great. Let's pick it up next year. They're kind of rushing to get their KPIs done by the end of the year. And so I've gotten a lot of those messages, but these companies didn't. And now I've crushed it for them and many others.
And what were we sending them? Like, you probably like a nobody, then not much network. So like, what were you offering for them?
I appreciate the compliment about me being a nobody, but at the time, I did have a little bit of notoriety. I used to executive produce commercials for a local Vancouver production company. We did, $1 million in sales and pretty quickly after we launched this, and I was involved with that. And through that, ended up production managing a Diplo music video, working with companies like Samsung, Ford, the Junos, Columbia Records. Like I had already kind of cracked the code a bit on how to get in touch with these brands, just in a different vertical. And just a note, I was selling commercials that were, $150,000, $250,000. So high ticket sales was something I just like understood kind of the metrics of and the fundamentals of. And so, but to note, you said it yourself, I'm Canadian. And yes, currently I am based in Vancouver. Granted, I lived back and forth from here to LA ongoing for 3 years. And so I didn't have the most broadened network in America. And that was the new thing. So it was a lot of connecting with people in the US, but they looked at my work history and the message that I would send was very honest. If anyone's looking to listen for game, being transparent and vulnerable, especially early on, is such a value add. And, we have a little bit of an age gap between us. I am Unk for sure compared. I just had a 29th birthday, so I'm closer to 30. And I don't know if the Gen Z podcast is going to be necessarily fitting for my age demo, but I'm on the line because
Millennial podcast.
yeah, the on the cusp millennial, we'll call it. But when you're really young, and this is 3 years ago, so I was, at the time I think I was just turning 25, or yeah, just turning 26 maybe. There you go. Typical founder shit. I can build a multi-7-figure agency, but I can't do basic math. I reached out to people and I think they could see that I was, young, trying to make something happen. I was really vulnerable with my copy. I was like, hey, we're building something at the intersection of, culture and brand and this and that, blah, 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 blah. and just kind of gave people that real insight into who I was as a character, and they responded to it. But for the first while, it was just very cut and dry. I pasted, I copy and pasted. I don't really know why they gave a shit, but eventually they did. And I think reps just get you there. You get a good feeling for it. And more importantly, you get to dial in a signal to noise, and then you dial in on who the ICP is. And that's what really started working for me is I stopped going after all these different roles and at these companies. And I started really focusing on just one specific role at the time, which was like people in brand marketing, which I should have been going after the whole time. But you got to try head of growth. You have to try product marketing. Finally, we realized that brand marketing was the way in. And so I don't know if that answers your question
Yeah,
well, but
that makes sense. What were you doing
yeah.
before? You're like doing marketing. You do have some experience similar.
So I was executive producing commercials. I mean, really that's the cute way of saying I was a sales guy for commercials. My friend Keon Slowly, a phenomenal producer here in Vancouver, he's shot work for pretty much everyone you can think of. Just like I would say the best out of where I'm from. And he was starting a production company. He'd already kind of kicked it off with some music videos and was looking to elevate himself to a place where, he can now do commercials, and that would be the bridge more so to TV and film. And so he brought me on because well, I used to work in bars and nightclubs and I would sell bottles. So, I mean, that was what it was. I come from the nightlife industry originally, and I gave those bottle girls a run for the money. I used to sell bottles over the bar to all of the ballers, and I made the kind of money that the bottle girls were making. And so he saw that because he was friends, we met through friends, and he said, well, fuck, if this guy can sell that shit, maybe he can sell commercials. I had no experience in it whatsoever, but it worked out pretty well for us. So yeah, that's what I was doing before social media and influencer.
Were you guys working together until recently, right? Or is this someone else?
So that's my business partner that I built Matchbook, my current agency with.
Mhm.
So I actually still work with this. So it's called Scuro Studios, Scuro. That's a production company. And so I still work with them as a client consultant.
Mhm.
Tags me in once in a while to kind of help things go. I mean, early days, dude, they used to send me to the airport to pick up the talent in my little convertible. I mean, I was that guy. I was the talkative, go between. Let me get them to set. Let me make sure they're good. Pick up coffee on the way. Make them my friend. And by the time they get to set, they're already, familiarized with the city, what dog the first AD has, what to expect, all that shit. So yeah, anyways, like I was saying, that's the production company. But up until recently, I was in a business partnership. We still share a couple clients, but I was in a business partnership with Mike, my previous business partner, building this company.
Mhm.
But that we went our separate ways in August of this year. He's taken on a full-time role at a company and consults for us now, I guess, on the clients that we still share.
Mhm. Is he the guy who's working at Perplexity or a different guy?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. He took a full-time role as the influencer lead at Perplexity.
Okay, interesting.
I guess they liked the Super Bowl campaign that we did for them enough to give him a good offer. Yeah.
It did pretty well.
Well, you know what, man? It did pretty well, but I will say this, apart from like the Wall Street Journal articles and stuff like that, like, they were only because Perplexity chose to go social first and do influencer marketing and a social campaign instead of a traditional marketing campaign. The whole campaign was very simple. It's $1 million giveaway, right? And so, yes, it was difficult because I did it in 2 weeks and I didn't fucking sleep. And the CEO changed shit like the Friday night before it was supposed to go live on Monday. And like, it was crazy. Like I scrambled,
Mhm.
but it's not that difficult to get people to sign up to something if the premise of it is we're giving away $1 million, sign up here.
Yeah,
So it did well for what it was for sure.
yeah, makes sense. And I'm not sure if I missed this, but the way you're getting clients now, you said that it's all through LinkedIn.
So at the start, we went cold outbound exclusively on LinkedIn. Now, after I've, done hundreds of creator partnerships, paid out millions of dollars to creators, worked with all these brands, multi-billion-dollar companies, etc., I have a good enough name that like, yes, I still have team that does outbound on LinkedIn and on email in different ways. Yes, I still have a partner network that I utilize. I'm working with venture capital companies to get in the door early. I'm working with C by way of companies that are servicing my client but aren't competitors of us. I'm working with web developer agencies that, put the product together and everything, and now they want to go to market with it as far as digitally. And so I have that. And then also, um, I have like inbound just coming to me through my reputation, which is a blessing. And hopefully, this year with now a more of a focus on building up the program and the coaching program, as well as doubling down on my B2B efforts, LinkedIn and producing content around that, my personal brand there. I think that I'll be elevating my inbound and start to kind of balance out. Because right now I would say it's like 75% comes from outbound still, 20% comes from partnerships, and then 5% comes from my inbound. But that 5% is still like, 20, 30K, 50K MRR clients.
Yeah.
So
They're
it
paying
works.
monthly?
Sure. Yeah. So influencer marketing traditionally has been known for doing like one-off partnerships. I built my entire company doing multi-month, like long-term
Mm,
partnerships. And so typically when I engage creators, it's for like 3-month partnership. There's deliverables that range between content that lives on the brand's channel, content that lives on the creator's channel, running paid like whitelisting ads through the creator's channel, meta ads on behalf of the brand. But we're doing like, 2, 3, 5 videos per month per creator for multiple months. And so, they bring us on to help again strategize the campaign and do all that stuff, and then source the creators, negotiate their rates, contract them, project manage it, and then pay them out. So we do that ongoing. I have companies that I've been signed to for 2 years as their agency of record.
and is that common? Like, I would imagine if you're a company, you'd probably want us to test out just once, see how it goes, and then if it does do well, do like a more long-term thing. Maybe these companies just have enough money to do like monthly big
Yeah,
funds.
so typically I work with larger style. I mean, if you look at all the names that I just said, like, Jack Link's Beef Jerky is a family-owned business, but
Yeah.
they do 1.5 billion ARR and have for like the past however many years, like there is a Mr. Links, and yeah, they have enough capital to engage with an agency on retainer for time. Sometimes the way that I structure it is, I mean, it depends. I have had clients for sure that wanted to do a test month, and we have no problem doing that. I have not had any clients that have done that test month and not re-engaged with us for a 3 to 6 month term. Unless the campaign was specifically a one-off. Like ClickUp was a one-off campaign. So they're like, we have this specific thing and we're going to do that. Perplexity was a one-off campaign from that campaign, at least. Like, since campaign's done, but that campaign that we did for them, that was a one-off targeted campaign. Typically, I do evergreen programs. I sit down with brands and I'll look at their entire cultural calendar for the year, and then I'll identify what are the key campaign moments that we can activate on, and then they engage me to help them activate all of them.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
I
Um,
like recurring revenue.
yeah,
We
I mean,
all love we all love recurring revenue, man.
one-time payments suck. They suck.
It's tough, man. It's
Yeah, and you
tough.
have
You
to
wanna,
keep chasing. It's a pain. I'm curious, like, what your team structure looks like too. Who you
super
hire,
lean,
really?
super lean, man. Oh my God. I built this up to, I think at the time before we brought anybody on, we were doing about 1.5 ARR, and with one person, myself and my business partner. And now that it's just myself running the show, I brought on 2 full times, a head of ops and growth, and then a head of marketing. Under them, we have a bunch of contractors, SDR staff, etc. But core team, myself, I'm very much still in the business, which I love. My 2 full times. That's the structure.
Yeah.
We're well past 1.5 ARR.
Okay. What is ARR? What portion of that is the revenue?
So we have a very money in, money out business. I understand where you're coming from. So we have a money in, money out business. It's also high profit margin. So the companies pay the influencers through us. And so we have rates, we have retainers, etc. We manage those payouts. And so that the way that we profit is like, there's too many ways to list out in like one sentence, but typically sometimes there's a margins that the company is aware of. Like, I have clients, for instance, like a Kalshi. Kalshi's a perfect example of this. Kalshi, the way that we run it is that I have a 20% markup on every dollar,
Mhm.
and they're aware of that. Top of retainer on top of it, et cetera. Like the way that we've structured is if I bring you a creator
Mhm.
and their cost is $10,000 for this asset, you're paying me $12,000 for that asset. And that's the way that we've structured the agreement. And so it's a money in, a money out business for sure, because we might do ARR 1.5, 2.5, 3 mil, whatever it is. You know, a million of that might go out the door,
Mhm.
or 500K of it might go out the door and we might profit that much. Just depends on the way that the agreement is structured. None of my clients have the same structure as far as our building goes, because I negotiate, like I've negotiated every single deal with every single client one-on-one on calls like this. Same thing with every creator partnership. That's why I'm so well versed in like helping content creators get brand partnerships and sponsors as well as businesses, because I've done 600 creator partnerships live on calls just like this,
Mhm.
just this past year, right? And so like, yeah, that's ARR for us, is the annual recurring revenue that we bring in net total. How much we retain off of that is changes every month.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I mean, I'll say this, like it's a good profit margin, especially considering we have retainer clients that renew with us every month on top of margin aware of or percentage of talent spend that we take.
And the influencers that you work with, what or do you work with, like, all social media, so, like, YouTube? Where are they based normally?
Predominantly, I've worked with a lot of Instagram and TikTok, because that's where like a lot of just like brand partnerships it just seems to be those channels. But like, yeah, I've worked with everybody. I've worked with Twitter, Snapchat, YouTube, what's it called? Blue Ocean. What's that random platform I thought there was going to replace?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I forgot the name.
Forgot the name. I did some like random deal for them. I mean, frankly, I've worked with B2B companies like Expandy, helping them do thought leadership, co-authored lead magnets on LinkedIn, and utilized creators, B2B influencers, or B2B influencers as they call them, on LinkedIn to drive pipeline down funnel. I mean, I've worked with, yeah, on LinkedIn as well as a channel. So they're everyone. Were you asking what the size of creator, or just where are they located
Yeah, just,
on
like, where
like
they
what
look.
digital platform?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same thing with all sizes though. I mean, like I've all the way up to the, celebs, like even a Jake Paul here, down to, I've put together early days UGC deals for, $500 an asset, $250 an asset, right? When we were starting out. So we've done it all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there, like, any kinds of deals that you really love and, like, ones that you really don't like?
Well, I'll say this. I mean, I love top of funnel like brand centric deals. And the reason why is because I believe that, and I would argue this with most, product is no longer the moat. I've said this actually on another podcast, but I'll say it here. A product is no longer the moat, and you don't need to be big anymore. And so you don't need 100 employees to have a sick SaaS company. The reason why Cal AI worked out is because they went bullish on brand. And I believe that that's just so, I don't love having to quantify every single metric to make it make sense for the data and the CPM and the whole thing. Like, if it's just like net good brand building, there's a huge benefit overall. Is it quantifiable and measurable every time? No, it's not. But it's undeniable. Like let's use Jake Paul as an example because it's topical for me, right? It's happening in my text message thread right here. I'm watching things unfold. If Jake Paul gets involved with their brand, are you really trying to measure the impressions? Are you really trying to like look at the how many shares and how many people are, all this stuff? Or are you just understanding that there's going to be some kind of a cultural shift and understanding that like this person who has 20 million plus followers across multiple platforms, do I really want to quantify or have to quantify like if someone of that magnitude is involved with your company? No, but that it's going to drive value, right? And so I
Mhm.
don't mind doing data driven stuff. I don't mind it at all. But I just feel like in 2025, brand is like the most important thing. And
Uh-huh.
especially in like software and AI, it's huge. It should be really, really championed because, at one point in time, you had to have 20 employees to be able to have, your software work. And now you can do it with some kid from, the middle of nowhere, right? Lithuania on a Starlink laptop and freaking what are those? I mean, hell, dude, I built an app off of Canva's AI the other day. Like, let alone Lovable or Bolt or, Cursor. I mean, you can chat GPT something, put the code in, and boom, you got an app. So if people can create that easily, of course, that doesn't go for having a security and an in-depth software built on, et cetera, et cetera. But like, you know, it's it's a new frontier that we're in. This is a different conversation that's being had. So yeah, man, that's my POV. I'd say the companies that understand brand the most are the easiest for me to work with because they're not questioning things at every turn. I've worked with brands that were really difficult and we crushed it for them. But they could, if they just had a better understanding of brand and the importance of it, it would have made my life a lot easier for sure.
What's an example of, a company that has strong brand versus, weak brand? Like, what does that look like? I'm just curious. I don't know
I'll
if I
give you a
understand.
perfect example. So Hinge and Bumble are two dating apps. Now, the example I'm going to give you is a funny one because Hinge actually has a better rep and a better brand word of mouth than Bumble does. But on social media, Hinge posts nothing. They have
Yeah.
no social presence. Bumble has a sick social presence. So even though this competitor to Hinge has a worse like word of mouth rep, there's still tons of users of it because they're so top of mind, present, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's a really good example of it. Is like you look at the comparison between those two social channels, and you have Bumble that has hundreds of thousands of followers, and then you have Hinge that has hundreds of thousands of followers, but Hinge doesn't post at all. So it's wasting away like what most brands dream of as far as digital real estate. They could have a way better brand on social, and they just don't. Now, I'm sure there's a reason for it internally, whatever this and that, blah blah blah. But it's not a reason that I support. Another good example of like, branding is Samsung and Apple, right? I mean, we all know Apple because sleek, sexy, that's, people want, this product because of the status that goes with it, right? They hacked human behavior,
Yeah.
right? And whereas Samsung is known as being nerdy and functional,
Mm.
that's a brand I would rather work with Apple any day of the week if they were just like, let's push this. I'd rather work with Samsung any day of the week if they wanted to go against that, because that would be such a fun campaign to work on, right? I mean, like, how do you go up against a giant like Apple and be the cool guy in a situation, But yeah, those are some options.
How about like influencers? Because it's not necessarily about how many followers you have or how many viewers. So what makes influencers good versus bad? I'm just curious what the qualities are.
What makes an influencer good or bad? Follower count doesn't matter. I think there's two ways to answer that question. Are you asking from a brand side or are you asking from a consumer side?
From the brand side, yeah.
So I actually talk about this in my program a lot. Being professional in your communications with brands, you could be a subpar creator, but if you're professional and easy to work with, you'll probably get more brand deals and opportunities than the next person. It's hilarious, but it's true. Now, as far as content goes, just putting out good content, not being too salesy, that's gonna set you apart like crazy, right? Understanding and also understanding that as a content creator, when you get options and opportunities that come to you for brand partnerships, one, you can always negotiate it. And two, you can always make sure the way that you integrate the brand into your content is in a subtle integration of the product in the natural way that you would normally create content. And not enough influencers are doing that. They just kind of like, look, buy the thing. Here it is. No, that works for TikTok live shopping and TikTok shop and you know what I mean? Like affiliate
Mm,
marketing. But just make good content. Make genuinely engaging good content. Don't worry about follower count. Make it for engagements. Make it something people can share and you'll stand out because followers don't matter anymore. It's about impressions. It's about view count. How many people are
mm,
actually watching you? And then, yeah, on the brand side, they just care about like that person having their link in their bio, having a good media kit, being able to be communicative on a good turnaround. I mean, I reach out to content creators every single fucking day and it's like pulling teeth. just to get a hold of them. It makes no sense. Why, like you're losing so much money in deal value by not even being, available to reply to an email in 24 hours. Literally millions of dollars, Alex. Like I shit you not, millions of dollars I have offered over the years that have gone down. They've gone to somebody else because somebody didn't reply to my email. They could have made 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand. Couldn't get back to me within a couple days. And I got to pay somebody else.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
those are the
feel like
biggest things for me.
I imagine like if you set up like an AI expert that can like respond to those, like that would be pretty useful for them.
Yeah, for them to like within the program, for them to like ping, or are you saying in general?
Yeah, I mean just to communicate based off of like what the AI knows about like everything about the brands, them knowing your offer, they reply whether they might be interested or their bandwidth, how many clients they can work with per month.
For sure. Yeah, creating my own like LLM so that they can just kind of ask me questions. I put all my brain and information into there, and then when they ask it, it's me saying it back.
Yeah.
Tom GPT.
Yeah, Tom GPT.
Well, you'll like this. I actually coined a term. So I coined the term the Tom method, top
Okay.
of mind. And it's literally, I mean, you heard the term top of mind, but I just call it the Tom method now because my version, the Tom method, top of mind, is, how to get a hold of brands and how to stay on top of their mind. I teach people, the reason why I say influencers, creators, and brands and companies is because the other day I actually helped lock in a sponsor for a yoga meets EDM company. And it's a company, right? It's not an influencer, but they were looking for brand sponsorships. And so they paid my coaching fee and they got me on a call and they're like, how do we get sponsorships for our brand? And I was like, oh, interesting. I usually work with content creators to help them get sponsorships, partnerships. Well, it's the same method. And now it opened up a whole, the total addressable market now is just vastly more open because I can now talk to businesses. There's a B2B side to what I do as well, which is really interesting. That's new. That's new for me.
I see. Yeah.
But I like the AI. I like the AI suggestion.
That'd be super helpful, right?
I'm stealing that for sure.
Yeah, I have a friend who's in LA. He builds these kinds of things. He sells it to companies and he charges at least like 8K, 15K for these kinds of, for these companies, they're making a lot already. So, it's no problem if they can solve that kind of, it's huge. So
for sure. That's good.
I'm curious about how sponsorships are different between Twitter and video-based platforms. I imagine
people post videos on Twitter. Yeah, people post videos on Twitter. I mean, really, it's we're talking about leveraging someone's influence, right? So the way that I work is creators should know their rates, and it's that simple, right? If they can quote me on what it's going to cost for a tweet or a video, typically I have not engaged with many creators on X, Twitter, whatever, who don't produce video content. Okay. It's more so for putting out video content on that platform or for bringing attention to video content on a different platform. So predominantly, are you saying like, is there a difference between like other platforms or just X to video first platforms?
I guess both, like either question.
Because like TikTok has, some brands will pay less money for TikTok. And I don't agree with that. I think that this is, but you have to look at like audience crossover. If the same person follows somebody on TikTok to do on IG, if you're paying for both, or is it the valid, like it's really nuanced, but some platforms get, some brands don't see it the same way, which is fucked up in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I just got a 15K sponsorship. I hope it's legit for Twitter, and it's going to be like text-based.
Yep.
I mean, is that something you like really see?
It's a good rate. It's a good rate. You showed me that. I think it's a good rate. I would make sure that with them, I would make sure that they give you a deposit for that one. If it's real and it's legit, that's a great deal. And that's the type of long-term partnership that I typically put together, is exactly in that, that realm. Right? Like multi-month, multi-post, that type of thing. So there's a huge opportunity for creators on platforms that are text-based to make money. I've done partnerships with on LinkedIn, and that's predominantly text-based. And there was tons of money that went around that deal. I did partnerships with Substack and with Reddit, text-based completely, right? Tons of money goes into that. Companies will sponsor newsletters and articles and blogs, and they'll put so much money behind it, depending on what it is. Think about, someone who's revered in the health and wellness space that has a newsletter, right? If AG1 gets on Andrew Huberman's recommended list of good products on his newsletter to however many people, I mean, that's a huge value add for them. So of course they're going to sponsor it.
There are a lot of other agencies out there, right? Basically doing what you're doing. Is there something that makes you different from the others that you've seen?
There are a number of agencies that do what we do, but they're bigger companies. What I've been able to do is work with big companies with a very small team. Not even necessarily small, but flexible and boutique forward. Like, I don't want to work with 40 clients. I like working with 10 that I know when they call, I answer. My team is ready for them. We're able to jump into action. I don't see a lot of boutique influencer marketing partners. Also to note, the way that we work is essentially they're hiring headcount without having to pay a salary. I'm in their Slack channels. I'm in their, internal email threads. We really are like an internal member. And because we get that far in there with them, there are opportunities that come from that I don't see a lot of other agencies getting.
Hmm.
But at the fundamental core, no, there's other agencies that do what we do, and I'm happy for it. Frankly, they do a better job than I do when it comes to the their self-branding and putting themselves on social media more. They have more recognition because they've done that. I've just happened to, go the back doorway of building these like deeper relationships and want a lot of work on doing that. But I would say as far as like unique value props go, really giving a shit, as unquantifiable as it is, has been like the number one thing that has helped me close these deals. Because they, being in a room, I mean, even with the JP team, like Jake Paul's team, even with Kalshi, even with who else would be a really good example? Expandy was a really good example. That's a B2B company that they do LinkedIn outbound automation software. Like, that's as B2B as you're going to fucking get. And we had no background in anything B2B, but they got on a call with me and they could see that our expertise coupled with our executional power, coupled with the fact that we actually prioritize them as a client, and that they're not going through 20 different people, they're going directly to myself and my internal team. They gave us a shot, man. And that's been the same with a lot of companies. Remember, I signed Jack Links, ClickUp, and ManyChat as my first 3 clients. We had no client history prior to that. So, it was based only off of impression and what we were able to fulfill. I see a lot of people doing what I'm doing. I don't see them doing it at my level while still being as boutique. And I don't see them giving as much of a shit about their clients as I do.
Yeah.
And working as hard. I don't see it.
Yeah,
So
honestly, like if I were like an influencer or, a company, I would definitely want to work with, someone I can trust. Someone with a real personality, not just like some text on a screen or a company.
I
Makes
mean,
a
that's
lot
the
of sense.
thing. It's about priority, Alex. Like that's the thing with a lot of my clients. Like, this is my life. I have built companies and businesses before this. I've built tons that failed. I'm going to continue to do this type of stuff. I'm going to grow my coaching program, manage boutique talent now. Like, that's a new thing that I started managing talent. One of the talent has 5 million followers. Another one that we're bringing on, hopefully before the end of this year, I'm hardcore fucking NDA bound, but he's got like 10 million followers and is like a major YouTube player in his space, which I just very blessed to even be in the conversation with him. This guy has not done brand partnerships since 2019. He turned down an 8-figure deal earlier this year because he just wasn't with it, because he makes so much money from his content and his programs. And through a friend of mine who is his right-hand guy, I'm going to, God willing, be representing him, in a lot of ways. And so, that all comes from being boutique. It comes from actually being approachable, easy to get along with, and there when you call. And that's my, this is my life, man. I like being in my business. I'm not one of those guys who's like, let me automate my company so I can go lay on the beach and drink Mai Tais. I understand the premise of that. Of course, it's nice to make money on autopilot, but
Mhm.
I love being in this shit, bro. Keeps me young, keeps me excited,
Yeah.
and I'm obsessed, man. You know, I think people can tell that. And to your
Mhm.
point, you want to work with somebody who's not text on screen. When brands work with me and when creators work with me, they work with me. There's no fucking bullshit around it. You get me and I'm there and I show up and I perform. And that's what it is. And I love doing it.
For companies that are watching, they're gonna want to work with you after this video.
Hey
Yeah.
man.
And I mean, that's the whole goal, right? To be completely honest and get yourself out there. And just like,
Yeah.
I don't know, like we all get to learn how your
It's
business
an
works.
interesting world, you know, and I appreciate you you know, giving me the opportunity to come on here. It's been a pleasure. You know, I mean, listen, I'll say for the people at home, look, Alex is a great guy. If you haven't found a way to work with this guy, you have to find a way now because, you know, my closest friends live in LA
Mhm.
and they can tell you that I don't seldom allow people to pay for me.
Mhm.
Alex took me for lunch and he paid for the bill, which is very kind of
It's
him, to
pretty
which I owe
small.
him. It doesn't matter, man. To which I owe him a nice dinner, and he came by the house that my friends have there and met my friends, and it was just a, you know, it's finding good people to connect with in this world of, you know, money makers, movers and shakers, you know, business dealings, etc. has been difficult, man. I remember, you know, even early stages in my like really early 20s when I first started to crack, you know, six figures a year. I remember seeing how that changed how people looked at me and knowing that, you know, you're someone who has capital yourself and I'm someone who has capital myself and we're both kind of it's nice to know that somebody doesn't want anything from you but, you know, a good relationship and to see if there's some, you know, can we make some magic happen together? I bet we can. But it's not like a give and take relationship, you know? You got money, I got money, you're a good guy, and we get along. You know what I mean? And we get along really well. And so that's, I think more people got to give you your flowers. I've seen a couple of these pods, but like, shout out to you for doing this shit, man. I appreciate you taking me for lunch. That was nice.
No worries. I mean, that was pretty small, and you're my guest here in LA. Oh yeah, speaking of when you were here in LA, are you doing like brand deals with Brandon by any chance?
With Motivation Madness,
Yeah,
you know what? He doesn't really do brand deals.
really.
Yeah, he is super low key. I mean, like his business. So there's the mindset app that he has, which got 300,000 users on it. And then he's got his channel, which has about 4 million followers almost on YouTube. And then he has a digital rights management company that works with Jordan Peterson, Tony Robbins, Alan Watts, etc. That guy's cash flowing and making so much damn money. Like he's not worried about doing brand partnerships. He and I have talked about it. I'm more so helping Eric Reprid and Sham with their stuff and starting to kind of line stuff up for them. But you know, Brandon and I, you know, he's got a faceless channel. There's no real room for like integrations apart from like YouTube, like ad breaks. And they've had a system set up for so long. Like that's a friend that like we'll put money into stuff together as like an investment, but we're not really breaking bread off of what we've kind of separately built.
Got it.
He says hi, by the way. He was interested in what you got up to.
Yeah,
He was interested in doing a course.
yeah,
So that's a whole we can offline about that. But I
yeah.
just shot my program and I my friend very kindly gave me the keys to his $24 million penthouse. It's a 3-story penthouse.
Okay,
He just gave me his keys for like 4 days and he was like, here you go. And I shot my whole course there.
okay.
And then I
Well,
come back to my humble apartment here that I have comparatively, but you'll see it come out. I think you'll like it.
yeah. I need
But
I need to see the course. That's in Vancouver. Like your friend
see,
has.
Vic, yeah. It's insane. I'll send you a video of his place when we get off the pod. It's fucking nuts. It's fucking nuts, bro. Bro has an elevator in his penthouse, 3 stories.
I mean, if it's 24 million, then there better be an elevator.
Yeah, for real. Like what the hell? But he has fuck all furniture, bro. He just sits in his office all day. Anyways,
But what does he do?
finance.
Okay.
Closes big ass deals, dude. The guy closed $120 million deal, made like 6 mil in one go. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got all my questions answered. I'm pretty
Oh yeah.
satisfied. I'll let you know when I'm in Vancouver. I have a lot of friends there. So
Bro,
I'll be
come.
there.
Listen. Here's the thing. So right
Yeah.
now, I'm trying to move. So I got this place like ages ago, and I've just always like had this spot that I'm living.
Yeah.
There's a penthouse that I'm trying to rent. I'm gonna go
Okay.
see it this Friday.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to move there.
Okay.
Dude, FIFA is coming to Vancouver next
Yeah.
summer. Like this coming summer. It is going to be sick. I'm telling you. This city in the summer is the only time it's good. And it's
Okay.
sick as fuck if there's like a big event.
Yeah.
You gotta come up. Like you
Okay.
have like that is the ideal time. Next summer, come here. I live downtown. I'm gonna be living like literally right next to the fucking stadium where FIFA's playing. The
Okay.
city is gonna be lit, bro. It's the only time that this shit is even worthwhile coming up here. But what it is, it's fine. And also, well, you have a girlfriend now anyways, so never
Yeah.
mind. But there's plenty of those. But
Makes sense.
anyways, congratulations, by the way.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Bro went to Asia to find he had to go back, went to Asia to find the girl, you know what I mean?
Yeah, she was getting like millions of views on her reels. And then so I just like randomly see it. And I see that she's speaking like both English and Japanese and she's an like online entrepreneur. I realized that basically the same person as me. So like DM'd her,
What does she do? What
setter and closer. But she knows like all
sick.
the business environment, all the core
Nice.
sellers. Actually, the very first day she like dug through everything about me, like somehow found all my Twitter, somehow found like everything about me. So I got exposed. But you know, it's good to get that out of the way like early on. It's like what I do, like core seller. I sell a lot of, you know, info, stuff like that.
Bro, we gotta listen. I'm gonna show you the program that I put together.
Yeah,
I already have clients paying me for coaching without even I don't even have it out there.
yeah.
Like they just heard through the grapevine. Like I have it's coming together really well, dude. It's coming together really well. I want to introduce you to Michael, my friend who helped me shoot all of it.
Okay.
The Twitter side of it, I have no idea. Like that's 100% you, dude. So
I think
this
that
is a
we should
huge.
also work on LinkedIn as well, since you have a huge network there. I have a friend, he's here in LA. I just had dinner with him last night, but he's getting like millions of views and comments just regularly, just like, posting engagement for me. You know, I have
I
this.
agree. I think that doing the like if you're a company looking to get brand sponsorships and making content around that on LinkedIn for sure, but for the content creator side of things, it has to be on
Yeah, I
Twitter.
mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, good seeing you, man.
Yeah,
I
it's
appreciate
been
you.
a while. Have any place where people can message you? Like, what's the best place?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So you can contact me anytime on LinkedIn. It's just Tom Circo, TOMCIRCO. I don't use IG personally, but if you want to message me there, connect with me there, sure, do it. And then my website is onmatchbook.com. So that's it, man.
All right, great. That's it for the pod.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate you.